Cookie. People of different identities. Podcast with PSCAR.
Yo, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome to another edition of the PODICAST right here at La Parada, coming at you straight from Molapo Crossing. Like we told you, okay, this is the hub for BW creatives. If you want to host a show, if you want to have a small, intimate type of show, they have that theater as well. If you want to have a bigger show with more people, you can always use the Molapo Crossing Piazza. It has sound. They have a screen right at the back as well. Just hit up Laura, and he'll be able to hit you, push you something together for you. What do you think? Show. So check out that Facebook group, and that's where you should be able to get all of the information. Molapo Crossing, right here in Gap City. But as usual on a Wednesday, man, it's the PODICAST, your boy SCAR. I'm your host as usual, and in the house we're joined, and I'm honored to welcome one of Botswana's creative geniuses out here, man. A leading voice in the creative and business ecosystems in Botswana. He's also chairman of the creative arts and media sector at Business Botswana. He's a visionary entrepreneur, also of the Dialogue Group, Botswana's most awarded 360-degree integrated communications agency. I had to read that. I have to read that because, yeah, the Dialogue Group has become a big powerhouse in strategic marketing, PR, events, digital media, brand building, and it helps both local and regional brands speak more human and more purposefully. I guess that's what the search engine helped me get together. Guys in the house, man, we're joined by a gentleman, at the moment, the company itself has developed from, I remember Ikirabele Dialogue and Sachi, and now it's the Dialogue Group, and I'm trying to get all my information properly here. His career spans 20 plus years using storytelling and strategy to solve business and social problems. Guys, without further ado, in the house, we're joined by Mr. Tonderai Tsara. I try to make these brief.
That was too long.
It was way too long. I could tell I was starting to babble.
You forgot to mention the part about started in at 2.5 in phase 2. 18055. The bedroom was where I slept. There was a toilet and a bath.
Yeah.
And the lounge was the office. That's how we started the business. Norma and I, 2005, 2004, 2005, thereabouts. Yeah.
What was the climate though in your advertising in Botswana at that point in time? Because you guys broke so many barriers. What type of industry did you find?
Digital wasn't big then.
Yeah.
It was a very traditional industry. Advertising. Events here and there.
Yeah.
Now there's events and conferences every other day.
Yeah.
It was, it was a growing industry, exciting times, no rules.
Yeah.
To some degree, there's still no rules and standards.
Yeah.
But it was growing. But it's grown in sophistication. Now there's regulatory bodies.
Yeah.
There's things you can't do.
Yeah.
There's a lot more government involvement, dialogue with government. So it's now slightly more mature than it was back in, and 2005 was when we started the business. I think I entered the industry in Botswana in 2001, August 2001. So we've seen it gradually grow, for better and for worse.
No doubt. And you're originally from Zim. You grew up out in Zim, and then you came through to BW. When did you come to BW, and how was your upbringing in Zim? How did you end up here?
Okay, let me set the story straight. I was born in Princess Marina Hospital.
Come on, what's wrong with you? Yeah, ring information.
3rd of July, 1975. So what happened was my dad and mom worked here. Dad was a teacher. Mom was a nurse. They had me, and then Dad got a scholarship to go to the UK. Shipped the family off to the UK.
Yeah.
I was there for 5 years. Moved back to Zim after independence. I had always been curious about being a Botswana, being born in Botswana, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then as Zim sort of like took the path it took, I wanted to get out, and I incidentally applied to come to UB. To study law. I don't know if I had the grades for it. And then I got a response back, and they said, "Where's your Tirelo Sechaba certificate, and what's your Tirelo Sechaba certificate number?"
That was mandatory.
Yeah, you couldn't go to UB without it. So that's and then so that didn't happen. I ended up studying for a degree with UNISA. I'd also grown up in a household where the old man at times used to ask, "When are you leaving my house, and when are you stopping to eat my food?" So there was always that pressure. And I mean, you get to that age, 18, 19, 20, you wanna go out. So I figured, listen, I need an income, because this situation, living with the parents, is not sustainable. I used to watch a lot of television, and then I saw all these ads on television which I thought weren't so hot. So then I started investigating the advertising trade, and that's how I decided I want to be a copywriter, because I could talk a lot and I could write a lot. I could write well. So that's how I ended up landing up in advertising. I got a job, moved out of home, bought a car with my first salary. That was the goal. I earned I was getting 5,000 Zim dollars. And when the money came in, I was like, 500 is entertainment and transport. 4.5, I need a car. Went into the newspaper, found a Datsun 1200 for 4,500, and bought it that very day. And I was like, now I'm free.
What did your dad say? Where were you living at the time? Were you still at home?
Yeah, I was still at home. It wasn't a very consultative household. I bought the car, and then I think I moved out the next month. Because I was swimming in cash. It was first income, no expenses. You know what I mean? And so bought the car, and then I think bought a bed, and then third month I was moving into my own place.
So you started advertising and marketing stuff back when you were in Zim. Was it already active, proper? Because what we were getting this side was mostly the South African adverts, and it didn't look like something anyone would aspire to try and do. Was there where you could see yourself doing that sort of stuff? It started in Zim. So
it started in Zim. So you watch television and you see all these ads. And some of them were really good. Most of them were not so good. And you think, why haven't they done this? Why didn't they say that? Why are they speaking in that language? Or, why are they too formal? Or, that kind of thing. And that's how sort of led me to the industry. And I literally did a copybook of ads I would have done, and went knocking for 3 odd years. And then I think when I was in the first or second year of my degree, I got a job. I got hired. Awesome. With no qualification. Just on the basis of, and that's something I tell young people all the time. They want to wait until they graduate, wait until, you know what I mean? Get into the world of work early. I mean, I hate it when people show up wanting employment and they've got a degree or 2 degrees and they've never been in the world of work. That's not how it works.
No doubt.
And I told the guys at the UB that the other day as well. From your first year, from high school, you should be getting into industry. Come and be a waiter here at La Parada. Learn customer service. That's how you get ahead in life.
Did you have any mentors? Did you have anyone who could show you a path, or was this, sometimes luck meets opportunity? Did you have anyone you could see trailblazing a path that you would like to be part of?
Not really. A lady called Nazi Kurebgaseka took me under her wing when I got into the world of work, guided me. I used to be very temperamental, and guided me a lot, but there was no real mentor. But I used to read a lot. There was... back then, there was the British Council, there was the United States Information Service. So I'd spend a lot of my free time, because I had a bizarre schooling. I went to university evening school to do my A-levels. In Zim, that is. And so I had, a lot of time in between going to lessons, and because it was in the evening. So I went to night school, basically. So
no shame in that.
No shame in that. So I like writing big on the registers when you go to iTowers and stuff. And then when they complain about the writing, I say, key night school. So that's me.
I love that. I think because we have so much to talk about,
Yeah.
we need a 2-part series. I'm going to be running through, your formative years.
Yeah.
I think the very first question would be the founding of the dialogue group itself. Because you wear many hats now, but in the founding of the dialogue group, how did it come into existence, and what was the founding vision?
Let me be honest. The founding vision was anger. There was broken promises with our previous employer.
Yeah.
What happened is we were asked to set up a unit and grow the business within a company.
Okay.
Where we worked.
Yeah.
And we did that so effectively that then it became problematic. That these guys are winning everything, they're bidding and winning. And by the way, this is not our money. It's like their money.
Yeah.
But then now you could see what guys are hiding stuff from us. There's tenders out. Back then things weren't put on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So you see, guys are working on a bid, but and we were kind of like another entity as part of a group.
Yeah.
So that kind of just, you realized we're kind of doing heavy lifting, and it's not appreciated. And then obviously you expect that performance is rewarded.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening. And then eventually, funny enough, I kind of like was, causing friction here and there because I was upset. And then one day 3 ladies gave me a call and said, we're setting up a business and we want you to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I'd never seen it coming, hey?
Yeah.
I was just thinking, hey, one day I'm going to get fired here. And then, I was like, no problem.
Yeah.
And I'm all in. And then we set up the business, had some disagreements before we even earned a tebe.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being just the 2 of us.
Yeah.
Running the dialogue group, yeah.
Yo, man.
One got married and buggered off, and then there was some disagreements, and it's always ironic to me when people start arguing over money before they've even made any. You know? Yeah, but that's how it happened.
I'm not trying to have any arguments happening before we make the big bucks. One thing about your group. And even when it had its previous name, is that everyone who comes out of there for some reason finds themselves in the companies that you guys were actually servicing, and then they become like marketing heads in there. I've seen a couple of individuals that have come out of the dialogue group to become big names in the banking companies and all of these
mobile
things. Like
mining.
What is going on in there?
Well, listen, advertising tends to attract marketing people. Well, it attracts two types of people.
Yeah.
Creatives, writers, art directors, who tend to also be musicians. At some point, 4 guys were working on an album in the agency. One guy's computer got stolen and was found on a bus on the way to Zimbabwe. It's crazy. So you attract creatives, and then on the client service side, you tend to attract people who've studied marketing at UB, Baisako, Butu College, mostly UB.
Yeah.
So those people come into the agency as account executives, handle client relationships, but obviously at some point you hit a ceiling in terms of growth.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
No one is about to.
You hit a ceiling in terms of growth, and then clients come and ask, they poach. And then one client even called me up and said, come, I need to sit down with you for lunch. And it was on an unusual day. It was a Monday or Tuesday. Typically, we used to have drinks on a Friday.
Yeah.
They didn't ask me. They told me, we're taking Smangmang to come and work for us. And I was like, But then that client is billing is like your top client.
Yeah.
How do you say no?
Yeah.
And then that person gets to the other side and they're told, right, when not just because you came from the agency doesn't mean you just go soft on them.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh guys, But
no, because because I come from Yaron FM and there was like training that was going on in there by Owen Rampa. I really feel that there is something going on within the dialogue group that actually gets them that ready, because it's like from there they just go straight into the stratosphere. Like they are overachievers. Because I think there was something in the water, in what was going on in there. I really just want to know what's going on.
There's a lot of water, and if you don't swim, you drown.
Yeah.
We're not the kind of place where there's a structured training program.
Yeah.
Progression, automatic. No.
Yeah.
First thing you do typically in a meeting or a brainstorm is you ask the the most junior person in the room. Because if I speak my opinion, it's going to pull everyone left or right. So we brainstorm. We'll be challenging the youngsters to say, what do you think? And half the time you realize sometimes people lack the confidence, but other times, they've not been following what's been going on. They're just there. So we kind of throw people in the deep end, expected to swim. But then we also try and groom and mentor you and pull you along, but it's not structured in any way. It's not the BDF. It's like, figure this out.
Organized noise.
What have you done before you come to me to ask for my help? What have you done? If you ran a Google search, if we're working on this fast food brand, what research have you done on other fast food brands? What experience do you have as a customer? Surely you've bought some chicken or something. So you really need to bring your role to it. And then obviously, what do you understand about the customers or the people we're trying to sell to? Get out there and talk to people. So we really push people to be knowledgeable about the consumer, understand the client, and have an opinion. We're not like in other places. Legal only speaks on legal. Finance only speaks on finance. There's nothing like that in an agency.
Everything is together.
Yeah, write the copy, dude. I'm not a copy. Write the copy. Let's see. You can write. I can read You put all these fancy things on your CV. Right. Let's see. Let's see you write.
No, I love that, man, because they come out really, really sharp. Iron sharpens iron. Like, it's a really, really good place. I had ambitions of one day going in through those corridors as well. I want to know how you guys measure success over there. Is it clients? Like the amount of clients or the amount of money that you make? How do you guys measure the success at the Dialogue Group?
Well, there's financial success, the billings, the margin you make, people, retention of people, training of people, minimizing conflict, equity. How many women do we have? We have more women than men.
You guys have a lot of women.
Exactly, yeah. And all the women are on the ground floor, client service, all the men upstairs creative, So we need to get some balance there. But we've had some really good female creatives who have left the business. And everyone who leaves typically moves up a step, They're not leaving to be a manager. They're leaving to be a director somewhere else. So shout out to all the people who passed through the doors. And then operational performance, delivering things on time, client satisfaction, and then obviously some clients do what they call brand tracking. They check their net promoter scores, they check brand love, brand health, and all those things. So those are also things that we look at to say, okay, we've had this mandate for a year or 6 months. How did we move the needle for this company? And then importantly also, I learned this a little later on in the career. It's not just about having fun and doing cool work. Did you sell?
Did you sell stuff?
Yeah, did you sell stuff?
But then there's the measure for that. How much does the advertising actually help in the sales? I think, is there a metric for that? Like, measure the amount of, return on investment for client?
It's not a straight line, but you can measure things.
It's a measurement,
I always tell clients, do it in one medium and see how that performs. Put a phone number, put a QR code on an ad, and an email address, and then see because sometimes you can't tell. If you're Builders World or you're Haskins or whoever, you don't know what drove the people through the door. And you've got a flyer out, you've got radio ads out, you've got TV ads out. So there's different ways and means that you can try and measure, and you can also ask the person you're selling to, what brought you here today? Some people still do that.
Lesson for you, Solomon. There. And then let's talk about clients and service providers, because in the advertising agency world, guys complain or you guys pay late. Guys say measuring about 30 days here, and it can be 3 months. I don't know, speak to that. How do we kill this? Because sometimes these service providing companies end up saying that the reason they died was that they didn't get paid for about 3 months. So I want you to speak to that also on a broader scale, and also because you've been in the business this long. Why does it take so long for ad agencies to pay?
That's absolutely true, and we need to improve in that respect across the industry. And the money passes through quite a few hands. There's processes involved. The margins are low. If there's anyone doing more than a 10% margin 10% profit on the money they handle in Botswana, in advertising, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah.
So you're juggling a lot of things. There's your tax obligations, obviously. There's paying suppliers. There's paying for work to be done.
Yeah.
It's I could, if I got fired and was offered a job doing finance, not that I'm qualified to do it, I'd just say no. Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. And the other thing also is that, for argument's sake, I book you for a show.
Yeah.
You're expecting 50% up front.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes we have upfront payment arrangements with clients, but typically we don't. Yeah. And even when you have them, it takes so long from a procurement and finance perspective for the money to be paid for an event and so on, that you end up funding from pocket, right? So you're paying 50% for Scar's booking up front. You're doing the gig, you're invoicing, and then you're waiting. Some clients pay very well, right? So I must just put that out there up front. And we're very blessed to have, some clients that pay very well. Yeah. We have one client that is not in Botswana that pays up front, and we draw down. But that's quite a unique arrangement because it's a philanthropy. But then on the other hand, the median client or the average client sometimes pays well, sometimes doesn't. And if I've booked you and 10 other people to do something, I'm choosing my words very carefully here. If I've booked you and 10 other people to do something for me, and if I haven't been paid, the overdraft is not even 6 figures. 6. It's not 7 figures, right? I don't have the resources to then pay. I was put on blast by GKs at ATI Memorial. Exactly that.
I remember.
I thought that was, okay.
That was hectic.
I didn't see that one coming, but but it is a challenge. But then the other thing is, we agency people, creatives, never been good with money. I mean,
But you know what? I also want to commend you
I learned. It took me, I think, 5 or 6 or 7 years into the business for me to actually understand the lines in the balance sheet, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in board meetings and, the finance manager's presenting, and I think all I knew was cash balance, which somehow correlates to money in the bank. And then you got all this other stuff, more receivables, more what.
I respect
it took a while to learn exactly how financial statements and financial management works.
I respect that you keep the work going. I mean, that's, I think, something that's not commented about, like, ad agencies a lot. You keep work going. Even if you are having these problems and everyone is pointing at you because you are the direct point of contact for creatives, singers, dancers, models, all of that. But you keep the work going. You are able to go and source these funds that we can't go and get ourselves.
It's also goodwill. Sometimes in this economy, sometimes it's goodwill, it's credit, it's a lot of things. So it's not just magic on my part. It's also the goodwill of suppliers and creditors and everything else. And in this climate, I'm seeing signs that we haven't seen before. And then also there's margin pressure. So that small margin we spoke about is compressing and compressing. So it's I turned I won't say my age, but I turned a healthy age this year, and I was saying to myself, actually, maybe going back to what we said earlier, maybe it is time for someone else to step into these shoes.
Let's just wait a little bit. I'm still speaking to your name, suppliers and clients. You were in a pretty big case as far as our entertainment industry is concerned. You were first plaintiff in the case against the Dialogue Group and the BTC Limited, when born and raised,
defendant.
Defendant actually. Took you to task, and they alleged that despite fulfilling their part of the agreement for the annual Christmas Eve concert, Yonego Seroe, the defendants failed to provide promised financial and Wi-Fi support for the December 2020 event, and they wanted $2 million. But ultimately, you guys were put aside. You weren't seen as, you were the ones. Actually, let me just let you break it down. What happened between Born and Raised and this whole court case?
Okay, it was ish. Yeah, I was about to use bad words there. It was a disaster. It was an unmitigated disaster. What happened was I was out of town, so typically I sign all the contracts.
Yeah.
Or I review a contract before signature.
Yeah.
And that also talks to a business maybe not having, there's always a first, a second, a third signatory.
Yeah.
But in our business, typically I sign everything after reading it carefully.
Yeah.
We had identified Born and Raised as a platform that the client should invest in.
Yeah.
And funny enough, what is lost on people is 2019, I wasn't there, I traveled. Everything went well. It went perfectly.
Yeah.
Show was held in Seroe, 20,000 people.
Yeah.
Client was happy. Everything was good.
Yeah.
And then January 2020, COVID hits. So we had signed a 2-year deal.
Oh.
Well, I hadn't signed a 2-year deal. Someone just did a napkin contract. I call it a napkin contract because it was a 2-pager. In the
For that
office.
amount of money?
No, the amount of money wasn't much. It was 200,000 sponsorship, Wi-Fi, and something else. So someone in the office was put under pressure because things delay, and then when it's time to go, it's time to go.
Yeah.
So then they just whipped together a basic contract. It wasn't even 4 pages, and it didn't have typical clauses you find in a contract.
Yeah.
Force majeure being one of them, being like an uncontrollable act of God.
Yeah.
Being the COVID pandemic. So the COVID pandemic comes along, and then perhaps we got a bit greedy because of the success of 2019. We were the first people to reach out to them and say, guys, what's happening?
Yeah.
Where's the show this year? And they were like, wait a minute. I mean, how are we going to have a show? But, the hope had been that by come December time, we'll be back to normal.
Yeah.
But slowly but surely, over time, government would shut the country down or ban travel whenever a holiday came up.
Yeah.
So towards the end of the year, the writing was already on the wall that you can't have a big show.
Yeah.
Now, because we had asked them, they said, we've given you a plan. We've booked artists. We need to have a show. Now, there's a lot. This one will need its own program. Yeah. And I probably need to have legal counsel sitting next to me.
Treading carefully.
Yeah.
You don't want another
clearing
one.
everything I say.
Yes,
so in the end, the plan that they presented was not workable. Because what they were saying is we're going to have 20, I might get the number wrong here, 10 or 20 shows for 50 people at each show. Now, how do you leverage that? How do you activate? What's the cost, right?
Yeah.
So the plan wasn't acceptable. And we told them that. But they sued on the basis that you asked for a show, we proposed the show, and you didn't sponsor. And then we get to court, and the trial starts. Their key witness, they had one witness testified the whole day from 9 until 3 in the afternoon or thereabouts. And then...
What were they talking about?
I mean, they were just testifying their side of the story.
Yeah.
And then our counsel was of the view that there was no case, or a proper case had not been put to the court. So they applied for what they call absolution from the instance, meaning no case to answer. I think in criminal law it's called no case to answer. In a civil matter it's called absolution from the instance. So BTC applied, and we applied for absolution from the instance. They had their lawyer, we had our lawyer. And then something very unpredicted happened. The judge came back with a ruling that BTC is put to its defense, and we were absolved. So he absolved us from the matter and ruled that they should pay our costs. And then BTC was put to its defense. But the problem was, or I wouldn't say the problem, we contracted,
Yeah.
born and raised.
Yeah.
We signed the deal. We were going to all the meetings. And I was ready to testify and had all my paperwork ready.
Yeah.
But we were absolved.
Yeah.
Walked out of court and then realized that potentially this is going to not go well.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that we were asked, are you coming for day 2 of the trial? And the lawyer said no, because I think they had an understanding that if one gets absolved and the other doesn't. So in the end, I think the defense of the case or of the matter fell apart.
Yeah.
However, I believe that we had a strong case.
Yeah.
I believe the judgment was appealable. But we'd been absolved, so, we're no longer an interested party. And then, sort of what happened. But, Scar, I'll send you the court papers. You read them for yourself.
Yeah.
There was a lot, I think, that needed to be ventilated there, or could have been ventilated on appeal. But, the judge ruled the way he did. And the parties, or one party, opted not to appeal. And, it is what it is.
So what did that end up essentially meaning for your relationship with such a big client?
We were no longer the agency by that time.
Okay.
So our contract came to an end.
Yeah.
Long before the trial, but we will never run away from responsibility. We showed up for the trial. We assembled our defense. We were ready to put our case to the court, but then the court said no case to answer for the dialogue group, and the other party was put on its defense. But like I said, I'll send you the court papers. You should read them. I'll point out things to you in there, and also, everyone who gets a judgment at the High Court or the Magistrates Court or anywhere, small claims court, has a right to appeal all the way to Court of Appeal.
Yeah.
Or at least in a High Court trial,
Yeah.
you can appeal to the Court of Appeal, and that right wasn't exercised. So I can't say much more than that.
There wasn't any other amicable way that you think this could have been solved, even out of court? Like, did it have to go all the way up there? The one conversation.
That is always first choice, and trust me, that was my first time in court. I've been a witness to something else and was never called as a witness, and then I've been in another matter, a civil personal matter.
Yeah.
So that was my first time in court. And I always say to people, going to court is not an option. It's slow, it's expensive, and it's unpredictable, as we found out. So try and avoid that at all costs. And I think, obviously, on reflection, maybe things could have been handled differently. But it is what it is. A judgment was given.
Yeah, ne? Case closed. Yeah. So how did you end up becoming the chair of the creative arts and media sector at Business Botswana?
Yeah. So
by the way, that was a role I didn't see you in your future, because I thought, okay, Tonde's making way too much dough. He's out there. So I'm like, oh my goodness, you want to help. You want to, you want to put your hands somewhere else and actively help in the business side of how we do business in Botswana. How did you end up being the chair of the arts and media sector?
Well, funny enough, it was never on the radar, just like starting a business.
Yeah.
But then one day someone spoke to me and said, I think this role would be suitable for you. And then I took an interest in it, and I saw value in it. Yeah. And I put my hand up. And then, like you do in politics, I had to put together a lobby group, talk to people.
That must have been crazy, though.
Yeah, but it was only, I think, but at the time, I think there was only like 20 voting people. So it's not like Kalahari South. Yeah. You know, it's not like, I'm sure, I remember seeing something about a ballot box waiting for ballot boxes traveling 300 kilometers.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone's, almost everyone's in gabs and stuff. So it was a lot easier. So you really put a case to people and tell them what you want to do.
Yeah.
I remember I expressed to someone I wanted to run for that, and they were lobbying on my behalf, and the person that they lobbied said, "Hey, I need to sit down with him. He needs to give me his manifesto." And I went there and said, "Listen, this is what I see in the industry. These are the things that need to be improved." And they gave me their votes, and it was tight, but ended up winning, and that was I can't remember the year, 2019 or something. Yeah, 2019, COVID, just before COVID.
Yeah.
And then got into that position.
Awesome stuff. And like, how is the Botswana creative industry today? What are the greatest strengths, I guess, and what are the biggest systematic challenges that you've observed ever since you've been in that space?
Well, it's hard to talk about the industry without defining it.
Yeah.
So what you're doing here with the podcast is creativity.
Yeah.
The guys doing sound, the guys on cameras, the guy uploading it to Facebook, the business developer knocking on doors to get sponsors and income into. All of those are creative tasks. And then you have by heritage, you have Mopato Dance Theatre and the plays, you have, according to the UNESCO definition, architects, you have photographers, you have heritage sites and archives and museums. Those are all creative. The problem in Botswana is that typically people say, you're not an artist or you're not a creative, and the view is that creatives are only
singers.
Musicians or filmmakers.
Yeah.
But the globally accepted definition. Advertising agencies are in there, photographers are in there, software developers, animation.
It's all creative.
Those are all creative pursuits.
Yeah.
That are creative. So
even copyrights, all of that.
Yeah, copyright, intellectual protection.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of players in this industry.
Yeah.
And even when you're a musician, you need a sound engineer, you need a broadcaster,
artwork.
You need a filmmaker to create your film. You need a broadcast. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've never been one for narrow definitions or for people who are exclusionary of other crafts and creatives. And to be honest with you, it's very hard to paint a picture of 10% or between 8 and 10% of the economy in the time we have here. There's a lot going on. There's animators out there.
Yeah.
There's so many people, especially around this debate that's come up, which I'm sure we're going to touch on.
Yeah.
There's so many people doing different things, and it's hard to say things are good, things are bad, etc. There's just so much going on. So are we talking about the software industry in Botswana? Yeah. Are we talking about the advertising industry? Are we talking about music? Are we talking about film and television? There's just so much. So it's hard to just paint one brush and say homonate or things are down or anything like that.
I love that you defined it, because I think that's what's been limiting us a lot. Every single time we hear what the creative industry in Botswana can generate this much into the GDP, sometimes the first thing we think is, the musicians, the filmmakers, but the measure is what exactly? All of this.
All of that. There's a study that was done of GDP, and this is one of the ongoing conversations we're having. We wrote a letter to the statistician general.
Yeah.
And we said to him, it's a gentleman.
Yeah.
We said to him, there's a problem in terms of how we are measuring the economy. So creative, as it stands right now, is subsumed or is absorbed into tourism, is absorbed into retail, is absorbed into hospitality, etc. And unfortunately, that is exactly how government prioritizes the budget. They look at the GDP. So if the GDP does not have a column, creative, which is 5 times bigger than agriculture, you don't get prioritized. And that's exactly what we've seen with the Botswana Economic Transformation Plan, where, as the Vice President put it to me, the creative industry was subsumed by tourism, right? But the creative industry is 10% of 8 to 10% of GDP. There was a study done in 2019 that said 5.46% of GDP and about 2.5% of employment. Agriculture is 2%. But you're going to have a SONA, a budget speech, or any strategy for Botswana that doesn't include agriculture. But creativity is kind of like a, we'll get to that one at the appropriate time. But broadcasters, billboard companies are creating jobs and employment in this country and paying tax. And 8% of GDP is quite substantial. If you say 270 billion economy, that's 30 billion pula.
That's a lot of money.
Of economic activity from creatives in Botswana, or from the consumption of creative products. When you buy Netflix, when you buy DSTV, that's creative income into the country. That's taxation income to government. But when it comes to now splitting up the pie, doing the budget or doing the state of the nation, typically in the past, creatives didn't feature. So in 2019, we went to the State House. I don't remember if you were there.
I was
in
there.
the big tent.
In the big tent.
And we said, we put a 10-point plan to government, and we said, prioritize the creative sector and what they call the cluster development strategy. We didn't hear back from government
Nothing
immediately.
happened afterwards.
No, but funny enough, in 2020, during COVID, we started seeing the creatives being prioritized because government developed a view that this has got tremendous absorptive capacity of young people, which is exactly the case we put to them. So creative now came into the mix to a point where the creative sector was now part of the National Development Plan priorities and so on and so forth. But remember, we lobbied in 2019. 2020 COVID, 2021 COVID, then 2022, 2023, that's when we started seeing things happening. And then, this year, literally, got deprioritized in the economic transformation plan, even though they say it's there in tourism.
But then because we weren't calling, apparently there was a toll-free number for ideas, about what we want in the BETP. But because I didn't call myself, you know what I mean? So I don't know if it's because we didn't speak for ourselves and try and add into it. And that's what people were saying on social media. It's like, you see, creatives are shutting up. They're not saying anything.
There were 6,000 submissions. And there's a short list according to what was led in Parliament last week or the week before. And there's a short list that is sort of less than 200. From the 6,000 submissions, trust me, they were creative submissions because I made quite a few of my own. 10 ideas in total, and not one made the short list. So, at the end of the day, I guess it was some proposals were better than others. But then also, I'm sure at the government level, they have an idea of how and where they want to take the country. And since 1966, it's been agriculture, dude.
Even it's not working. I mean, someone was talking about the plowing season, or back in the day, it would be like after August or September, people by December you expect pula and all of that. But that is not even happening nowadays, and it wasn't even a contributor even back then. But now, even ourselves anymore. So I'm wondering why they're beating this dead horse.
Well, import substitution, we're importing 3/4 of our food and so on and so forth. So there's a strong case.
But then there was that point, okay, now we're talking agriculture, but there was that point where we stopped them from coming in and now we brought them back. Isn't that trying to go forward while you're still reversing at the same time?
You know what? I know I'm going to get into trouble, but my mother was female beef producer of the year. But she's, she's 80, she gave up, and she decided that, listen, but over time, I've seen so much effort go in and not much coming out. And this is at, a huge ranch, right? So there's very few people who have done well or been successful in agriculture. I was in Khansi the other day for a wedding, and the successful beef producer there I won't say his name, but
Is he white?
Yes.
Yeah.
His farm is 60 by 60.
Dang.
Guys think having an 8 by 8 makes them. This guy's land is 60 by 60. I didn't see it, but I was told his land is 60 by 60.
Yeah.
Now you're talking. Right,
Yeah.
it's very hard to be successful with certain things on a small piece of land. We saw it when guys said, ban potatoes and stuff.
Yeah.
Guys are trying to grow potatoes on 1 hectare and stuff. And I think we need to get the models right.
Yeah.
And I think now even government, they're talking improvement of the dairy herd and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I think there's I'm never going to disparage government. That we elected them to be there. But we would wish and hope that we could get the same amount of attention on a consistent basis that other industries just get naturally.
Yeah.
And for us, it was 3 years or 4 years, and then it's kind of died off. But going forward, we would hope that they understand how to grow jobs. And also the other thing is, someone made the point. If your television's end-to-end going to be news, no one's going to watch it. So how do you grow creativity in an environment where it's all about news gathering, news production, and airing the news on broadcast, right? My TV hasn't been turned on in a while. One, because I've been busy working, and then two, typically, there's nothing to watch.
But there's nothing to watch.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So how do you now go and get a loan and do content? Are people even going to watch it?
Yeah.
Because it's surrounded by news, end-to-end news. Our prime time is just news. When in other countries, it's drama, it's soap opera, you see what I mean?
Yeah, there's something else. It's just news.
So even, concerns for whether we'll be able to succeed and thrive in an environment where prime time is end-to-end news coverage.
Yeah. You see, this is my personal opinion. I always feel like politicians really want to be popular, and
they want to see themselves on TV.
Yeah, if anyone else is popular, it's a beef. That's why I've had some altercations with some, because we are now, as musicians, started being popular as well. It's like, no, we should be the only ones who are popular. They're on the front pages of the newspapers. That's just my personal opinion. It's like, now we control the TV. So, yeah, we'll just put ourselves on there.
Funny enough, another conversation that I'm sure is going to come up.
Yeah.
During COVID, the president, as he then was, announced that they were spending 56 million on renovating a studio for the creative industry.
Yeah. I remember when
you remember that?
When RB2B changed as well.
Yeah. They spent 56 million saying this is for the creative industry. I've never seen a creative production being undertaken there. It's press conferences and so on. Now I know the intent was there.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, it's just a staple of news. So how do you grow creativity and jobs in an environment where the broadcaster just wants to cover the government and government action, and where there's no filming for children? There's only recently other language content on television, but it's news again.
And some of them are stuttering. Like, there needs to be some training. I listened to some other bulletin the other day, personal opinion as well. I listened to a news bulletin, I think, the other day in Simbukushu, and it was terrible. That man was repeating words over and over. He didn't read that script before he got in there.
But you know that some of these languages, even when you hear them for the first time, I didn't watch the clip you watched.
Yeah.
But
I was listening to the news on RB1, so it was later in the evening.
Yeah, but I've heard people speaking Sekhalakati.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do a double take because of the uniqueness of the language.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know. I didn't watch the clip you watched.
Yeah. I know practice.
Yeah.
I know when a guy hasn't read the script. Okay, so this brings me to the creative industry, in that when you have probably a news editor, maybe he's good at the language and good at writing it. Why don't we look for someone who can actually then be the one to speak it? You know what I mean? I think we don't put enough effort into finding talent and retaining talent in those setups. We'd rather have someone who's, okay, maybe you deserve this job because you've been here for a while.
Yeah, I'm a strong proponent of fixing the plane while it's in flight.
Yeah.
In Botswana, we're very good at strategizing and planning and never getting anything done. I mean, we've been planning a state theater for 20 years. It breaks my heart that apparently 50 million was spent on plans. Nothing was built. That 50 million could have actually built a state theater. So I think government wanted to get something done, and we tend to over-plan and over-strategize, and they just said, let's get it done. But I hope they take on board observations like yours, that there's improvements in quality that need to be made.
I love that there's people like you there in Business Botswana, Tonde, because I hope there's more of you that side. Because
I've got two very capable vice chairs, Prince Munna, who does film and television, and Kabelo Rapinyana, who does advertising, communication agencies and content. And we have very robust discussions, arguments. Sometimes people don't actually want to see us in the room, because we typically operate at the policy level, do a lot of research, and genuinely want improvement. And I think everyone does. But then sometimes, there's always friction and everyone's fighting their corner.
But are we able to streamline now? Like, because that's always been the conversation. Every minister since Thapelo Lopeng was always talking about a fragmentation. The creative industry is too fragmented. Are we working towards streamlining us so that we can ultimately get an item in your sonas beyond just, we'll throw a couple of pullers at you guys?
No, why do you have to streamline the industry, which is made up of 45 different crafts and people doing things?
So we can be able to pick up that data and then be able to say that this data is from the creative side, so that there's a systematic improvement of it, where, instead of just, like I'm saying, we're going to talk about the 200 million pula, but like in helping grow it, like the infrastructure, like systematically making it grow. What do they need? But it's
a diversified industry. I don't think you need to streamline anything. What you do need to do is fund it. Right? There was until last week, there was no money for content. We've gone when we were at BTV recently, they said the budget for this year, we've only got 2 million to acquire content from 5,000 filmmakers, the whole of Botswana. 2 million.
Jesus.
And in the past, that budget has been 30, 40, 50 odd, right? So we're very grateful for the 200 million that came in the Sona. But at the end of the day, you need to fund things. We're tired of workshops and strategy conferences and all that. A television station needs money to buy content to put on television. And then if the content is interesting, advertising will come. Then you have an ecosystem going. Right? So fund television to acquire content. We've even said to government, let them keep the money they make from advertising. Because if you're receiving money and you have to give it to government, there's no value relationship there. If the money is yours, you start watching it. And you escalate your prices based on inflation and so on. The rate card in Botswana hasn't changed in 25 years. And then what it's doing is running everybody else out of business because BTV, RB2, and Daily News are so cheap, right? So it kills your newspapers. It kills your private radio stations. It kills everyone else. So we're effectively stunting the growth of an industry because the dominant player is not running along commercial lines or thinking like a business, which they should do.
Yo, I love that. The Cosmos chair at ATI's funeral said I think he's the CEO. He said
it was the chair, the lady.
The chair, the lady.
At the funeral in Lerala.
She said the levy for technical devices should only go to musicians, I think. We bring out the most, man. Tune up the tune, What do you say about that? And also because it's a big conversation right now. The technical devices. I don't know if it's being administered by SIPA.
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of arguments about it. I think there's a second phase of payouts that hasn't come to some of the people who had received that money. But it's also because government is having the problem that it's having right now. Let's talk about this levy. Who should get this levy? Who should it be disseminated to? What do you say when someone says that it should only go to musicians?
Okay, first of all, full disclosure.
Yes, sir.
For the first time ever, we applied and we are a beneficiary of the levy for technical devices. We have a project called Inspiring News, where we pay filmmakers to tell positive news about Botswana, and then we put that on Facebook, YouTube, and all of that. So check it out. So I'm slightly conflicted here. Now let's take two steps back. where does the levy for technical devices come from? It comes from, and I don't speak for SIPA, by the way. I'm speaking for myself here. The levy for technical devices comes from every phone, CD, USB stick, cassette, if we still bring in cassettes, storage media, I think TVs, radios, all of those technical devices that come across the border into Botswana pay a levy or an import levy or a tax that goes to the levy for technical devices that they didn't distribute every 2 or 3 years. Right. Now, those technical devices, what is on them? Films, WhatsApps, we're exchanging clips, we're exchanging music, we're pirating your music sometimes. Not me personally, I'm talking in general terms.
I saw a guy in Tutume, he just starts playing a song that's not out, and I can tell he ripped it from Facebook.
Yeah, there you go, man. So they're playing sport. We're listening to the weather. When it floods, my house floods, so I check the weather incessantly. So all those things are things that live on technical devices. So how can you then say that only this craft or these people should get something, as if only music lives on a phone, or as if only film lives on a phone, or a USB stick? So I think it's one of the better run funds in the country. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a beneficiary this year for the first time ever. But it is one of the better run funds in this country, and it is for the benefit of everybody, and anyone can apply. But it so happens that maybe due to quality of applications or other factors that I'm not privy to, a lot of film and television projects win. This is public information. They had a ceremony and they streamed it on Facebook. But a lot of film and television projects win the levy for technical devices. But in there are many other projects. And I think it's for people to apply. It's for people to apply. It's for people to ask for feedback on their applications that were not successful. I'm not sure if they allow that. And to improve the quality of their applications the next time around. And I think they will get something.
Where are these things advertised? Like for someone who's watching the podcast and
newspapers, television,
people don't read,
Facebook. Facebook is on Facebook.
Facebook as well.
SIPA was on Facebook and on their website, and they do quite a bit of PR when there's a new round of funding about to happen.
No doubt.
And I mean, I saw many musicians and people, creatives, applying when it came out, and I even participated in one of the musicians' project, which was funded by SIPA. So the problem is, Scar, we are in an environment of scarce resources, and unfortunately, we try and exclude one another from things to create abundance. Whereas our view at Business Botswana is, we were finding the money. 2018, we started lobbying and said, why? I wrote a white paper. 2018, why are we not taxing Apple, Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn and others? Right? When you buy stuff from these service providers, it's not taxed in Botswana, at least at the VAT level. It's taxed in South Africa. 2018, we started lobbying to say, because when we go to government, we don't just go to government to point out a problem. We go with a solution. And we said, you're not taxing these people. And then there was no traction from 2018. Around 2022, 2023, I got an invitation from Business Botswana to a webinar on tax. I jumped on there and I berated BRS and I said, why aren't you taxing the richest companies in the world? Right? And then I shared the white paper, and slowly but surely I started seeing traction. The Commissioner General talked about trying to tax these companies. Last year in the budget speech, the Vice President announced that they're going to be doing digital taxation. And then a few months ago, the VAT amendment bill got passed. Now, I'm not saying that's my effort, right? Maybe there was things that had started or been done or whatever before. But that tax now needs to come back to creatives, because if you are taxing Apple, Google, Facebook, etc., what are people purchasing? They're purchasing storage. That's creative. Storage is creative. They're purchasing videos. They're purchasing music, right? So don't take that money to your favorite subjects. Take it, bring it back to creatives, because the product that is being consumed by and large when we make digital purchases is 90% of the time a creative product.
So you think there is a chance for, and this is just off the top of the head as well, like for these young kids who are always on social media, they're garnering all of these views, and I think they just don't see a path where they can ultimately make a living out of it. Some of them fall into depression because maybe they outgrow the characters that they started with. Now they're on some other trajectory where now they regret it. That I'm this popular and I'm this broke.
Yeah. So listen, man. It can be tough. I've had many parents come to me and say, this kid of mine wants to be a creative. What do you guys do? A client once came to me and said, this child wants to, I thought this guy's going to be an engineer or a doctor. He wants to be a creative. I was taken aback that the client, and, there was slight disparaging tones in there.
Yeah. But what do you think about me, dog?
Yeah, but so the trick is to grow already I saw the minister sitting on a call with TikTok, saying we want monetization in Botswana.
Yeah.
Right? Now government is pushing that agenda. We need monetization. The other thing also is that we need to get more money going. Yeah. So that taxation needs to flow back to creatives because it can enlarge the pie. You instead of taking it and putting it somewhere else, if you put it back into the creative ecosystem, it will enlarge the pie, create jobs. And then I love what government has done with the 200 million. It's coming from the alcohol levy. I had to go and read the fund order for the alcohol levy to say, is this, permissible? The alcohol levy talks about harm reduction. But what does that mean? It means that you need to abuse alcohol or drugs. And then we need to create an intervention for you post your abuse to rehabilitate you. Now, what government has done, and this is just genius, is they've said harm reduction can be prevention. Let's get young people to work.
Yeah.
We've got too many idle young people. We've got too much youth unemployment. So instead of waiting for the for the curing of substance abuse, Let's stop it. Let's get young people working. And I think that's absolute genius. And I'm thankful to the president and the government for doing that.
The big news of the day, he had a smile on his face when he did it. President Duma Boko announced 200 million pula from the alcohol levy fund to procure creative arts. How do you think this money should be allocated to maximize impact?
So we're grateful for the money. But if you talk to animation, television content, live events, because remember also they said content acquisition from young people. Now it's going to be hard to get that right. And then the question also becomes, what's a young person? Do you rule out someone who's never had an opportunity? Do you rule out someone who's borderline? I think youth in Botswana, we say what, up to 35,
up
right?
to 35.
So I'm, definitely not in the mix
it's
there.
over for me.
Neither are you. But it's going to be very hard. And at the end of the day, we're grateful for that money. But it's in the scheme of things, it's not a lot. Government, when you consider content in this country with all these tourism events, conferences, is already acquiring possibly more than that. From creatives. So it's going to be very hard. And then also content acquisition. I love the Cosmos model of distributing proceeds to artists. Now I know there's always that conversation about the size of the checks. If it were left to
bad these days.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened.
But your Sky, I get it.
Yo,
you got the hits.
I got some tunes.
Yeah, but it's not the same for every artist. But I'd love to use that if it were left to me and I had the money. I'd love to use that distribution mechanism to say, let's put a 10 bar there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
that's 10 million, guys.
Million with an M.
Hey,
let's put a 10 bar there.
Yeah.
And ring fence it for artists.
Yeah.
And bump the checks up, right? And then also say, right, and half of that 10 bar is going to be for new entrants.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the way we like to think. And then we'll go to government and we'll say, and this is where you take the money from. Right? But the conversations we have right now, these guys must be excluded, these guys are not creatives, and so on and so forth. And it's quite destructive.
That's what actually the chair, that's what you're talking to though, with the chair, but by being too divisive and too...
Show government the sources of funds and then show them the uses. I'm working on a business plan right now.
Yeah.
And there's a section, sources and uses of funds. So go to government and say, we need to fund this with X.
Yeah.
And here's where you get it from. And the sources are there. That digital trade taxation hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it could be 100M. But because we're not having conversations at that level, we're just looking at one another and saying, you're not a creative, and so
That's
on
not
and so
the way
forth.
to go.
And it's destructive.
Yeah.
And government sees that. And the agriculture, the other sections, whether it's agriculture, trade, manufacturing, when they come to government, they are organized. They are organized. They've done their research. Some of them even hire consultants. I was looking at the ICT sector roadmap. These guys hired a consulting firm to set out their roadmap, to do measurements and everything. Then when it comes to us, we are just bubbling.
So call a meeting.
We're in meetings, fam. We're in meetings. In meetings and we're making proposals. And like I said, you have to attend the meetings.
Yeah.
But then we're also putting white papers together, doing some of our own research.
Yeah.
Now research is a lot easier with, Chat GPT and stuff, and then we put proposals through and we point out things. And like I said, I mean, who else writes letters to the statistician general calling for a creative satellite account? But we've seen the link. If you're not counting the creative economy, you're not funding it on the other end. So there's a thing called a creative satellite account, and that's what we want to have.
Yeah.
And they were actually saying that we had this discussion, but it died some years ago. So we want to bring that back.
Do you feel in this new Botswana, in the 1 year that's happened, the implementation has always been our problem as a country for a lot of time? They say there's amazing policies being put together, but implementation is always the problem. Are you feeling any change as far as implementation of some of these ideas that are out there? Because I think that's our own worst enemy in that department.
No, absolutely, dude. I was going to say these guys are not playing. The new administration, 1 year is done. And there were promises made, some of which cannot be kept.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. But in certain areas, guys are moving like lightning.
Yeah.
You submit an EOI for something today. Tomorrow you're being called up and said, come in here. Start the project now.
Yeah.
Right? They're not before contracts even signed. I've seen that happening, right?
Yeah.
Now that has its dangers.
Yeah.
But in the past we were always planning, and then you tender, and then the tender goes to court. I mean, that's happened so many times with content acquisition.
Yeah.
Every time they tender, disputes. And then what happens? The dispute takes 3 years to resolve.
Yeah.
So money for, let's just say 2024 is not used for what it was intended for. And then new budget year, you're starting afresh. And then for 3 years, there's been no acquisition. So government now I've seen signs that we're no longer doing the talking, strategic retreat to Kasane stuff. Let's. I remember the one time we were in government some years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah. But I now see the wisdom. The minister, as he then was, Nono Formulefi, was saying, let's do a media pizza, right? Yeah. A media industry pizza. And I could see why he wanted to do it. Yeah. Because there's so many actors and so many players and so many challenges. Yeah. And then people didn't, for various reasons want to do it. We were keen. It didn't happen. But then everyone is going to the same ministers and to government with their micro issue or their big issue. But there's 25 of you, and this guy, this honorable minister is Minister of State President. He's busy, right? He's busy. So you can't have every association coming.
One by one.
Yeah. But the minister said, let's have a pizza. And at the time, they had the money to even pay for the trip to Kazan. And people refused to meet. So, but now there's no money. We have our challenges. The fiscal environment is constrained. Yeah. And but I'm seeing green shoots of government saying, just like the president said the other day, he didn't wait for the budget speech. He announced in the zone, hey, 200 million content acquisition. Yeah. And I'm sure in a few weeks' time, ministers are going to be under pressure to say, I gave you money. What are you doing? Yeah. I want a strategic paper, implementation plan. Get it done.
Yeah.
And that is refreshing.
I totally respect that, and he's a very aspirational president, like very positive about getting us out of this hole that we are in because of the mining situation. But I love that we have a leader like that. You know, someone will worry feels like, yo, guys, it may be a little bit rough, but I have some plans. I know some people.
I love it. And then also even the minister Kelebeng, sports and arts.
Even the minister himself.
There's a drive there. I remember when we went to State House in 2019, and someone said, I won't mention names. You have to understand government process.
Yeah.
You have to understand government process. So you are kind of rationalizing bureaucracy. You are rationalizing the slowness of the government machinery.
Yeah.
You are rationalizing the fact that it takes you 3 years to do a procurement process, right? And we don't have that time.
We don't have the time.
We don't have the time. The diamonds, to some degree, also spoilt us, right? Because we knew that the diamonds would always pay for things, and then we take 3 years to do something that in Rwanda or in some other place they do in 6 months.
Yeah.
And we saw nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Now, we need to get things done. We need to create other tax and job sources and grow the economy.
Yeah.
Because these diamonds are not here forever. And now we're seeing it. And yes, they might bounce back, but hopefully the period we're going through now will teach us to resilience and also to diversify and widen the jaws of the economy, which in the past, the diamonds sort of spoilt us into just being calm and relaxed about everything.
It's God teaching us a lesson. Don't worry. Once we learn that lesson, what I want to do, don't worry, guys. One day, but we just gotta learn better ways of doing things. Speaking about back in the day when things were matobe tobe, there was 69 million pula plus VAT, which is 1.1 billion pula, which was put into something that was called Botswana Ignite a couple of years ago. I saw Family Feud. I don't know what else. All of this dough. I mean, we got our 200 million. We're happy, Mr. President. But back then, 1.1 billion.
Billion with the B.
With a B, guys. With a B. What on earth was going on then? And what are we seeing that's come out of that?
I'm going to choose my words very carefully. The views and opinions expressed on the show.
That's a lot of dough.
You know, it's very hard to understand. The minister stood up in Parliament late last year after the new administration came into being and said, I think I can quote him because then, you know, it's protected.
He said
it's privileged speech. And he said this was a scam. And, you know, to be honest, I have not seen anything. I have not seen any evidence that makes me think otherwise. 1.1 billion in an environment where BTV was getting 20 million, 30 million, 40 million to buy content. And this thing really hurts me, but let me try and explain this in bite-sized chunks.
Yes, sir.
Steve Harvey comes from America and is given this deal to uplift the creative industry, right? Now, when you consider that the creative industry is all these things that we keep on talking about,
which is not just performance and artists and just
it's not just sitcoms and his format, right, of comedy and
as a stand-up idea.
It's not just that, right? There's so many areas of improvement. Then an ITT, which is for direct appointment. We have the document, we've seen it. It was given to us by government, is given to him to appoint him. 1.1 billion, 69 million US dollars, plus VAT. And then, I've never seen this ever before. Payment upfront, in advance. And Botswana is going to BTV and bidding on a content tender. These guys will know. And you have to produce the first and the last episode off your own dime, right? To be considered for an award. rich American comes and is paid upfront.
Yes.
Right? And then, remember the studio we were talking about?
Yeah.
That was built presumably for Yone, the program.
Have you seen it?
Yeah? And then that studio is not used.
They went to South Africa.
You go and build a facility in South Africa. But the ITT said to uplift the creative industry in Botswana. You go and build a studio in South Africa. Who's manning the camera and holding the grip and cleaning up the sound? Is it a Botswana or is it South Africans?
Yeah.
Botswana are the interns in that setup. Right?
I saw one girl, only one girl. She did an interview.
It was one here, two there, etc. And this is taxpayers' money. And someone believes that that is how you uplift the creative industry in Botswana.
Damn.
Is turning Botswana into interns in a South African studio or setup. Having a South African lead in a film. One of the films. Everything South African. I drove by one of the productions in Block 8. It was GP plates everywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you've taken Botswana's taxpayers' money and
Lady,
created jobs and employment and opportunities in South Africa to uplift the creative industry in Botswana. I mean, you know, if this was a script and you tried to sell it, they'll tell you this is not believable. But we did that in Botswana.
Are you for real?
I'm for real, dude.
I really don't know what to say. I don't have a follow-up question. Because I'm thinking, all right, so you flash here. Like, we were just the contestants.
Listen,
we weren't really running the production that much.
Also, let me touch on something else. Let me touch on something else. We went to see government soon after the administration came into being, the new administration. And it was revealed to us as we met with them that someone was bragging and saying, oh, you know, we've even spent 4,000 pula per minute on local productions, 4,000 pula per minute. Split up that 1.5 billion across the 4 productions that were done. And then throw in the wildlife film school in there.
Yeah.
What that tells me is you'll pay Motswana 4,000 per minute, which is barely enough to even pull off this podcast.
Yeah.
And then, when it is these guys who've come into Botswana, you're paying 300,000 a minute. Or you're paying 200,000 a minute.
What?
Yeah. I mean, my figures might be wrong, but they should come to us and tell us what they paid per minute.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you're paying 100 times or 200 times more
Jesus Christ.
than you pay a local for production. And then you'll say, you see the quality and everything. Yeah, pay, bump the cheese up for local creators. Bump the cheese up for local productions.
Yeah.
Don't go for lowest cost awards and bidding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how you get the quality up. Because on the one hand, and you'll know this,
Yes, sir.
people say, your sound is whack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for all the time.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And if you are going to pay 100 times more for a foreign production with taxpayers' money, and then with the same taxpayers' money, compete really 2,000,
Yeah.
and then you have 5 awards after 3 years. I mean, some of these guys are producing the first and the last episode. By the time the thing is awarded, the lead actor has died. Someone who is in the romantic scene is now married. The husband doesn't want.
I don't like
you see what I mean?
kissing
You're
people.
taking 3 years, and then someone, and then local.
Mr. King. This is
other
not.
guys get the money up front, bro. I don't even know if that's legal.
But I'm a big supporter. I love wildlife shows.
Yeah.
I watch National Geographic. My lady hates it. Like I watch animals just killing animals, And I love that at the end. Most of the time, I can tell that it was made in Botswana. We get the credits at the bottom. Sometimes they even put down the Department of Tourism as well as a partner. We'd like to thank the Department of Tourism of Botswana, what. But, that man in the cameras, they are there in Okavango months on end, producing for such it's always Botswana shows, especially the wild dogs. You know, we got some mean ones out here.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite animal in the wild. Yeah, man.
The wild dogs. Why can't we make the connection here? Why is Botswana one of the most trusted and most, everyone probably knows Botswana because of the Wildlife Channel.
Yeah. But
why are we not a player in there? Why don't we executive produce this stuff? That's what I was expecting with Botswana
that was the
Ignite.
intent. That was the intent with the Wildlife Film School.
Is it even there? It's set up?
Well, the problem is now the funding is not there. And when you've got a choice between Panado and basic medication and funding this, these ambitions of more local content, local storytelling, wildlife films, etc. It's a tough choice for the powers that be in terms of allocating funds. So I'm not too sure on the status, but a lot of effort and a lot of people went through these things, and I'm sure given how we've spoken about them, I'll get attacked for the question marks I'm raising around the project and its execution and its funding. But there's a lot of people that have gone through these things, and there's some people who have benefited. There's some people who have been lead actors. There's some people who have been paid very well, and we're hoping that we'll see the content coming through now, and that Botswana will be on the global stage, and it will be a black Botswana behind the camera. I've been to the Delta and Kasane a lot of times, and you'll see this guy following an animal for weeks, dude. The 4 days you go on a game drive, you meet the guy 4 days, and he's following the leopard, he's following the lion, and so on. And the guy is dirty, the nails are not cut, and typically they don't look like you or I, right? So there's a deep skill and resources, and the camera costs like $500,000 that you need to do that stuff. That goes behind that, and I believe we now have the camera or a camera. I don't know how they're gonna share the camera between all the filmmakers. But there is an intent. But then there's an imbalance in terms of the resources everyone gets and the resources that are given to outsiders and a project like that. And the other thing also I saw I was flipping through television. I also watch wildlife content, by the way. And I saw now these guys are going live. I can't remember the Wild Earth or something. And it was Kenya and it was South Africa. Right? So they go live during sunrise and sunset. And I was thinking, and Botswana, with all the game we have, more elephants than any country in the world, we're not there. You see what I mean? Because we go and overinvest somewhere and underinvest everywhere else. So I'm hoping that some of these young filmmakers will be going live on Wild Earth as well. Because typically in South Africa, it's a crowd of game vehicles that are sighting. There's a tarred road, which for me, I'll never go to Kruger because of the tarred road. That's like an urban safari,
Definitely.
And also in Botswana, right? There's except when you guys, you told the story yourself, so I can coach you. Except when you guys go on the river with your Bluetooth speakers in Kasane. You told the story. I remember you told. What did Clarifax say? You don't know how to consume the product or something like that. Right? But you guys specifically, because I might get dragged
a lot of the time.
So
no doubt.
But in Botswana, your game viewing and your wildlife it's unique. I've been to the Delta many times. I've been blessed and privileged to go there.
And I haven't been.
Typically, you're alone. You've never been to, or you mean inside?
No, I end up at Maung.
Yeah, so Maung's not the Delta for you.
No, Maung is a stopover. Maung is where we meet the other people.
But you can do game drives and get in.
There's some good stuff in Kasane, Chombe National Park.
The real experiences are deep inside. But
pause,
Tondi. But pause, huh?
I was just checking with why.
But also. I missed the joke there, but there's a uniqueness to Botswana's car that you need to experience, and I don't think we even understand the product ourselves. There's a place I spoke about it on. Can I speak about the place?
No, go ahead.
There's a place I want Botswana to look up. It's called Xigera. XIGERA. .com. $9,000 a night. I've never been there. I was there before they tore the place down and built it up. $9,000 a night. Huh? In Botswana, boss.
Who's gonna go live? We can't get in there. It's
The
maybe
guys
like the
by the
king of Spain or something.
The private jet guys.
Yeah.
I believe Larry Ellison, currently richest man in the world, Oracle, was in the Delta recently.
Even John Travolta
Yeah.
flew his own plane there.
I bumped into John Travolta at Gab's airport. And I was like, I wrote a story in, what was the magazine? Yabo, Tumi Rams, then Danga Kriling.
As a flavor, I think, man.
Not,
There was some magazine.
Yeah, there was a magazine. I was like, so what happened? What happens is I'm at the airport and I was coming from South Africa.
Yeah.
And back then it was a small airport. I like
Yeah.
that airport because you could be in and
was
out in
dope.
5 minutes. Yeah?
It was beautiful.
Now you got to wait for the baggage carousel. There you just threw the bags through a hole in the wall and you were off home. Now you have to wait for the baggage carousel. So I was in the airport and 3 or 4 Discoveries, Land Rover Discoveries pull up with GP plates. So I saw them going past. Already I'm like, what's going
Somebody's,
on here?
yeah.
We don't use Discoveries in Botswana for VIPs.
Yeah.
And then I saw a GP plate. Then I see white guys in ties. I'm like, hell,
Security.
what is going on?
Yeah.
And then also, as I hopped off the plane, Air Botswana,
Yeah.
I'm seeing a vintage 707 on the
Qantas.
tarmac.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so everyone else is, I'm like,
Something.
because also, I've after that incident, I've been in a shooting a robbery in a filling station. So I'm always acutely aware of my surroundings or when something is about to go wrong.
No doubt.
Because that day I almost died. I had a firearm was pointed in my face. Never prayed so hard, and God has never come through for me like that.
In Gabs or in Joe's?
Gabs, Kudu Filling Station, Main Mall. So what happens is, these stories, man.
Creatives.
Okay, yeah, we'll come to I've got the flu and I've got a sore throat, so I want to buy some holes and go to bed.
Yeah.
And it was a weekend, and but I was like, no. So I'm going to buy holes. Then I hear Waza filling station. So and guys are running into the quick shop. Me, I'm like, I need to be outside, not inside. Why are guys running here? As I'm bursting out of the door, I get tripped up. I look up and guys pointing a firearm at me like Waza. And they're just saying Waza. That's all they're saying because they don't want. No, they don't want you to know whether they're Botswana or South Africans or whatever. And they all got the hoodies. And I saw him Zege like Waza. And I'm like, Lord, is this me? Am I going out like this?
Yeah, that's a moment.
And then the guy realized I wasn't a threat, and I was on my hands and knees. And then, so then I crawled to a corner. And then I'm like, I ain't see nothing. I'm like, I crawled to a corner because it was going down there.
Yeah.
And these guys robbed the filling station. And subsequently, I think a few weeks later, they got shot dead because they were on a spree. But back to John Travolta.
Back to John.
So we're in the airport, and then I see the plane, and I see the discos. It's already, I'm like, who is this? And then I see a guy in a cap with dark sunglasses.
Sure.
But I saw the jaw, and I was like, I've seen this guy in the movies.
No doubt.
And then I had a BlackBerry back then. I'm like, and I was the only guy who took a picture.
Yeah.
Because most people didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
And they were loading their supplies onto the X-ray machine. It was back by the door there. I took a picture of John Travolta. I wrote an article about it.
I love that.
And
we
he was
have
coming
that
from
happening.
Madikwe. So the big plane, couldn't land in Madikwe.
Yeah.
So they landed in Gabs and then got security all the way from Johannesburg.
And he's flying it.
Yeah, he flies his own plane. He's got a crew. Yeah. He flies it when he feels like it, and then the crew takes over.
And then
when
they
he's
take
tired.
over from there.
Yeah.
I don't like guys like that.
And he lands his garage is like a run. His driveway is a runway.
A runway.
And then he taxis his plane to the house, comes off the plane, walks into the living room.
Big boy status. that's levels right there.
Boss.
I wanted to because we gotta shut it down. I don't want to keep it for too long. Guys get mad at me when I make the pods too long. They're like, "Yo, I can't watch 2 hours, man." So we're
it's
trying
not been
to
2 hours. It feels like 30 minutes. Bro.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. I want you to tell me your vision for your role in Business Botswana, and also with the dialogue group. In creating a more vibrant, creative economy in Botswana. What do you see yourself doing going forward to be more inclusive of also the rest of Botswana,
Yeah.
you know, by Longora in Bonebo Francistown, who are not as close to the action as all of us, you know, what do you see yourself getting into now?
Yeah. So to make it more vibrant, like I said, the money needs to start flowing, and the money needs to get into hands of creatives. In the past, you know, they set up a channel or they do something, and the money never gets to content creators. It kind of like gets stuck in the technology or the facilitation, you know. And
I wanted to talk about that before even you go on. That whole this 200 million. To us, 10,000, 100,000, because all of it is all happening in government corridors. You know, they pay themselves to create things, and then who do workshop, or there's travel, there's
benchmarking.
Benchmarking, and then there is overtime as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this money never really trickles down. Do
Exactly.
we see this money being different?
Listen, I think government's going to have to do things differently because it can't be the same old story. And people are going to want results. And the other thing is, if the president makes a pronouncement as he did, and he didn't leave it to the budget speech or to the Minister of Sport to announce on the phone, he made it himself. He's going to want results.
Yeah.
So the
They heard
people
him.
charged with implementation are going to need to deliver results and outcomes around that. And they should be able to show that 90% or more of that money was actually put into the hands of Botswana, who it was intended for, who are creating content.
Yeah.
You said, maybe you'll be eligible, maybe you won't. I don't know. But at the end of the day, also, you know, even if a young person says they want to do a production like this, it's going to be very hard for it to be exclusively young people. You know, in terms of getting the equipment and everything else, and it's also, let's not all go and buy the same stuff, right? These cameras and these microphones can only work. Your podcast is once a week, right? So why can't we share equipment? Why can't we have a facilities hiring company? Don't all run off and buy cameras. I once went to YDF at Fairgrounds, and they had funded 34 production companies, and they all had cameras, right?
You see that?
You can't all be filming at the same time. So let's also get the efficiencies going and not all be buying the same stuff. The gear can only work 1 day or 2 days a week. So don't all go and buy the same stuff. Let's start collaborating. Let's have a hiring or facilities management thing going. And let's actually make the content. Don't spend all the money on the camera. Spend the money making the content and putting it in people's hands.
I think that's always our problem, copying each other's moves, man. I think how many fresh chips items have been sold? It's always the same. That day, the pool tables. It's always the same type of gigs, you know. And I don't know. And we never even scale. Like Motota Barik said, chips forever and ever and ever until someone comes and pulls up right next to them and starts doing the exact same thing.
But it's reference bias. If you grow up in a village where you only have the Makoya in that village is the policeman, the nurse, the teacher. You grow up aspiring to be a policeman, a nurse, or a teacher. Because that's all you're seeing, right? So let's expose people to careers. Let's expose people to new businesses. We've got the internet. You know, ignorance is no longer an excuse. You know, you've got the internet. Go and expose yourself. You know, you run a Chat GPT search. Where's the look at all the stuff happening in AI, right? So nowadays, I think also, but this is where you'll then start fighting them. The funders also need to push people in the right direction, groom them, coach them, and show them the things of the future. But you can't blame a young learner who's not been exposed to these things for them wanting to do what they see everyone else doing.
No doubt, and I think just to shut it down. No, not yet though. Are you exploring possibilities of going regional, international with Dialogue Group?
We've already done some regional mandates. 2 years ago, we don't do enough. We'd love to do more. We have a mandate in Zambia for Sky Girls.
For the youngsters.
Yeah.
Sky Girls comes from this beautiful company, man.
And so we have a mandate for Botswana.
And I love that you kept it going.
Yeah. Ish, man, 13 years.
I can imagine.
It's been a good innings, yeah.
Yo.
And we have the same mandate for Zambia, but we have a partner there who does the implementation.
Yeah.
We kind of oversee the program.
Yeah.
We've done work regionally. We've done work in Zambia we launched a noodles brand. It was a Masika Leditsala move where my sister was investing in a business, and then they wanted a TV commercial. We shot a TV commercial for Zambia and Botswana.
Yeah.
We've done a conference for the UN in Kenya.
Yeah.
So the appetite is there.
Yeah.
We probably don't push it hard enough. But our view is you don't need a door or a post office box in every country. You can service, you can do the work from here.
From here,
and likewise, certain things, there's people you can tap into online from around the world.
Yeah.
So you don't need, we're not big on physical presence and, having a signed dialogue group, this country, that country.
You say because you have a good, beautiful building. You have a nice office. And you also married your business partner.
Indeed, yes.
Let's talk about love and business. Because as you can see, this is, there she is. Yeah. So,
Miss Abby.
How does it work, this thing? Like, would you advise it to work with a partner? Or did you guys fall in love during work?
No, we started the business first.
You started the business first?
Yeah. I think, hey, man, it's been so long. We started the business first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was a relationship on off.
Yeah.
And then eventually it was like, let's corporatize this.
Let's make this deal official.
Yeah. So, but it has its challenges. It's got its benefits, but it's also got its challenges.
Yeah.
Sometimes you develop tunnel vision, but other times also you decisions can be made quickly.
Yeah.
Board meetings or whatever, key decisions, can be arrived at faster than in a traditional setup.
Yeah.
So it has its benefits, but it also can be a challenge when there's disagreements, when things are not going well. It can be a problem.
Would you advise it for other people? I mean, just from your experience, like you guys have been really, really successful. You've been really dominant in this space. I mean, she's a trailblazer on her own as well, and you are. So I'm trying to think about these big minds, working together and achieving a common goal. Is it something that you would advise people to do, or keep your work life there, your love life there?
You know what? It depends on your chemistry and it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're both neurosurgeons, or one's a neurosurgeon and the other's an anesthetist, I wouldn't recommend it because you need to have a professional relationship.
Yeah.
And,
this person might die.
Whatever argument was had in the morning shouldn't now permeate. Someone's life is at stake, right?
Yeah.
So it depends really what you're doing and the chemistry between you.
Yeah.
But there's times she stepped aside from the business.
Yeah.
Stepped back in now.
Yeah.
But and some of the arguments. I mean, if you're a leader.
Yeah.
And you believe you have to go left. You have to go left or the business is gonna die.
Yeah.
And then the other partner is like, let's go right.
Sure.
And this is someone you're with every day who you can't avoid.
Yeah.
Then it can get quite taxing.
Yeah.
Whereas in a professional setup, it's like, okay, who's the CEO? What does the board say? Let's have a vote. How do you have a vote when you're 50-50 in a business?
That's another
okay, so it's
problem.
1-1. Then what do you do? So it's got its strengths. It's also got its weaknesses.
We're definitely doing a part 2. I have a feeling there's a lot that's going to go on in Botswana that you're going to have to help give us answers to. You gave me insight into what the creative industry is. I've been a part of it for this long. I always, I guess, sided with the ones that I see every day, the musicians, the actors, the photographers. But when you get into it like that, everyone who does something creative is part of this industry. And I think Libone, they need to start taking some ownership.
Absolutely.
Of this space and not think, I'm just an architect.
Yeah, no, true. And the thing is, you have to have that ecosystem, and I call it value network approach, because you can't be thriving, ulinus, and everyone else is starving, dude. One, it's uncomfortable. If you're in a restaurant and you're buying a family meal and everyone else is buying one piece, you know what I mean? It's very uncomfortable. So you have to take that value network perspective and understand how all the other things work, right? You want the broadcasters in good health so that they can pay gospels to pay you. Right? If they're not in good financial health, or they're not getting paid by this actor, or government's not paying Cosbots, it's a problem for you. So you need to understand that you shouldn't just be going on social media and saying, "Oh, Cosbot, send me a 15 puller check." You know what I mean? You must understand. You did write about a small check the one time. I follow you, dude. I've been following you for years.
It did change something. Because I run into some of these people in these offices, and then I'm like, "Yo, we heard you." And sometimes we just don't know what to do, Tondi, you know. And I think you have like such a structured way of approaching problems.
Dude, when the Minister of Finance does the budget speech, I go to the Ministry of Finance website every day until they put them up there. And I read the budget tables. Because I want to know how much is going to broadcasting, how much is for content acquisition, how much does government have for this. And then if you're in business, you want to know what will government be acquiring. You shouldn't just be waiting for the tender. You should know the ecosystem and the structure of how the expenditure happens and when it will happen. Unfortunately, they don't know publish procurement plans. But, you know, don't just get involved when it's time to now do the work. Understand how everything gels and works together, and understand where the bottlenecks are, so that, you know, this is an amazing country. When I travel these days, yes, you go to some, but I can't wait to get back home. But we're going through some difficulties now, but this is an amazing country, and I think our best days are ahead of us. But it comes from us being aware of our environment and aware of the challenges and how to grow the country, and you and I have had tremendous opportunities.
Definitely.
But there's a youngster who's writing this country off, who is suicidal right now. And the obligation is on you and I and everybody out there to give them what we had.
Definitely.
Right? And help them grow. And you know, so and that comes from an understanding of all the nuances and you know, what needs to happen and where the bottlenecks are.
Definitely, and the onus is on us to make it proper. Hey, my son scared me the other day. He's like, he doesn't want to keep being here. You know what I mean? He wants to move out of the country, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, how do I explain to this guy, or this is like one of the best countries in the world, and you know, it's what you make it. So you just spoke to my soul. So thank you so much, my brother. And see you soon.
See you again soon, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tonderai Tsara. This has been one of those episodes where some of us, you know, you learn something every day, but it was really, really some proper insight. And we look forward to having you again, sir. That's our show, guys. See you again next week. I'm SCAR, and this has been the PODICAST. Peace.
People of different identities. Podcast with Big SCAR.